Hello, everybody. This is Radio Entrepreneurs, and we continue to stream stories of entrepreneurship every day, trying to keep everybody up to date, what entrepreneurs are doing, adapting to this new economy. I have my own businesses of my own, and also I am CEO, founder of Mage LLC management consulting firm, working with leaders, developing organizations, changing organizations, and family businesses as well. Our next guest, Sam Palazzolo, managing director, Tip of the Spear Ventures. Whoa, sounds like a sharp enterprise to me.
Edge of the knife.
Yeah.
Correct. Hello, how are you?
Good, Sam. So tell us about a Tip of the Spear Ventures.
Yeah, so I founded the firm after I led a tech startup to a successful private equity exit. I said, that's what I want to do. Prior to that, I came from big consulting. So one of my former senior partners outreached after I left the tech startup after that exit and asked, can we put the band back together, so to speak? And I said, yeah, I think so, but let's do something different this time. Let's do a private equity firm on one side. Let's do a consultancy on the other. So to this day, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We still have those two sides of the house. One's a venture side of the house and one's a consultancy. Our consulting work probably overlaps. The consulting I've done in the past has surrounded change. I think Deloitte and McKinsey call it business transformation, but we have a heavy sales biz dev focus on our consultancy and our venture side of the house. I can speak to that at length as well, but that's how it is when we help organizations out.
Wow, it sounds very good. Why don't you give me a little bit about your history and how you got into this?
Yeah, sure. I spent about 20 years in the automotive industry. Go figure, a guy from Detroit goes to work in the car business, but put my way through undergrad working as a UAW member on an assembly line. Spent a number of years working wholesale distribution for a couple manufacturers like General Motors and Toyota Lexus. And then I ultimately worked retail for a few years. So, ran a large auto platform for one of my favorite dealers with a variety of manufacturers. So I kind of get that industry and industry at large from that manufacturing, wholesale distribution, and retail perspectives. As I mentioned, spent a number of years also working consulting, both with Deloitte as well as with Aon's change management group. I also had my own firm that I grew from single shingle to about 20 folks over about a 5-year time period. And that is where it is, that how it came to be where it is that I'm at today.
Wow. How do you get your business?
Yeah, so our business, from the consultancy side of the house, people typically think of consulting as a relationship. You've got to know somebody or somebody refers you. Our approach is something a little different in as much that the network is only going to be so big, right? You got to look for ways to organically and creatively grow the network. And so we've worked with the same sales trainer now for the last 6 years. He has coached us up. We're a aggressive outbound as well as an inbound type of a group. So from an outbound perspective, we do cold calling. That's first and foremost how it is that we outreach and connect with folks. We try to network through social media aspects, but cold calling is our best bailiwick. It's the way that we put the most effort and energy in that outward type of let's connect with some different folks that aren't in our current network. Our inbound marketing, we've been a HubSpot adopter pre-IPO, so dating back to 2014. We're good bloggers. I think I've got over 250 articles that are available on our website. I've also written 5 books, 2 of which were textbooks for university. I've taught at the university level since 2008. But that's a little bit about how it is that we go about marketing from both inbound, outbound, to try to gather some new network, if that makes sense, a new prospect identification.
Do you find your field to be very competitive?
Extremely, sure. I mean, we bump up against, in a consulting capacity, the big boys, right? Deloitte, McKinsey, at $500 plus per hour for consulting work. And it's always interesting, we're kind of a boutique. I had a senior partner who always described us, and still to this day, the description's accurate. We're a little speedboat that aggressively is, kind of circling those big naval aircraft carriers that take forever to turn around where we're turning on a dime. It gives us greater flexibility, not only in product for what it is that we're able to produce for our clients, but also for how it is from a billing structure. We've also been there on the receiving end of those large consulting groups, and we know what it is from a quality of production. We create the same level and then some. So we look at the consulting side of our business very much as a strategic partnership. We don't like the term vendor. When we find that prospective organizations start terming us in vendor, that verbiage, we exit. That's not for us. They're not the right client. On the venture side of the house, yeah, absolutely. We likewise run up against, private equity firms that have more money, bigger funds, all of that type of thing, where it's kind of a competitive, but it's also much more collegial, in as much we don't necessarily need to be the front runner from an investment, from a funding. As long as we get invited to participate, we're generally happy with that. We don't need to be first in. That's kind of our model on the venture side of the house too.
Interesting. Do you work by contract or are you an open hourly? How do you sort of build your fee structure?
Yeah, so we've done it both ways, and our best engagements have purpose. So statement of works are oriented around specifics from a production, from a deliverable to the client. They're also from a fee structure, based out on the project completion. But typical consulting work, we're in the project, we'll typically have some shoot off or offshoots regarding this is another project that we need help with. And so one project leads to another project that leads to another one. Those types of statements of work obviously are architected around certain deliverables and very similar certain type of payment procedures. We've also had some clients though that have said, hey, look, can we just keep you on retainer? We might access you for 2 hours a month, 10 hours a month, something like that. Could we structure a 12-month, 24-month type of a contractual retainer agreement? And we're open to those types of things as well.
Interesting. That's quite a thing. I like the fact that you seem to be able to compete with what I would call the big consulting firms. You must be much more reasonably priced than they are.
Yeah, we can be. I think it's one of the value adds. The bigger value add though is that you're gonna receive the same level of quality production, and you're gonna get a better customer experience out of it. We sat on that side where we've hired the big consulting firms, where we've hired the McKinseys and the Deloittes and Accentures and you name it, and we know typically the game. The game is traditionally one where a senior partner will come through, they'll sell the initiative. Maybe there's a little smoke and mirror, but the actual production will be created by some freshman analyst that's brought into the firm. They don't know the industry, they don't know the ins and outs. From a client perspective, it's extremely frustrating because there's a good 2 to 4 month type of a lag between them being brought up to speed on the industry, or at least what it is that we're talking about doing. We don't have that type of time to waste back then. We certainly don't now. We want to get into it. We want to do a rapid type of a discovery. We're talking weeks instead of months. And that's kind of our approach to it. We want to be able to create, again, that high level of production, better customer experience, have clients for long term. We have one client who's been with us. They've been with us right from the get-go. When we launched Tip of the Spear, they were our first client. They're still with us to this day, 10 years later.
That's great. We've been speaking with Sam Palazzolo, Managing Director, Tip of the Spear Ventures. Sam, if someone's looking for you in the organization, how can they find you?
Yeah, so Tip of the Spear Ventures is our primary website. There, and I know we'll put it in the show notes. If you like what it is that we're talking about, and you want to see some of our methodology, we have a giveaway. It's on our business transformation. We call it a business transformation self-assessment workbook. It's 37 pages, 128 questions that you can self-assess how good you are as a business. Typically, we'll have folks. This is our DIY offer. We'll have folks that'll come to the website, they'll secure it, they'll complete it, or they'll get part of the way through it and they'll recognize, maybe DIY, maybe that's not the best approach. Maybe we can do it in partnership with them. And we've got a couple of different partnership levels. We have one that's a real hands-on, we're step by step with you all the way through the process. The other one is one where it's maybe I just need some questions answered periodically. So we'll develop both of those types of relationships, but we're heavy customer focused. But that business transformation self-assessment website is available at tipofthespearventures.com.
Sam, thanks for being on the show today. We hope you stay connected with Radio Entrepreneurs. We appreciate the time you've spent with us.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Remind everybody, this is the Radio Entrepreneurs. Hey, thanks.